I would like to dedicate my performance tonight to both of my grandmothers who passed away this month last year.
Let us say grace.
Oh, why am I always the one that has to say the grace around here, man? Princetonian prodigal son come home and suddenly I'm righteous representative for a family meal? Here you go.
Bless the hands that made this meal. Give all glory to his name.
Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, she'akol nihiyeh bidvarav. Blessed are you, by whose word all things come to be. Amen.
My father built our house, crafted the walls and halls into an arrangement that placed our kitchen as the heart to our home. I used to race through the maze he made, chasing smells of baking and sounds of things bubbling and brewing. At the end of the hallways,
open onto the liveliest scene.
A one-woman workshop.
Steam clouds wafted through golden light.
I watched as she made the kitchen her canvas, pouring her soul into every dish, marinating her sweat with spices to create a rich palette of tangy treats. On Sundays after church, our dining room radiated with the sense of fish stew,
chicken paprikash with nokoli,
cornbread,
jollof,
falafel,
fried fish, and
for dessert, a warm slice of cherry pie.
The aroma was tantalizing. Like dough, she painstakingly kneaded our family to smooth out all the rough edges.
The rough, tenuous cords of dough connected her to him. It is their lifeblood. After the war, my grandmother cooked her way from Sweden to America. She then taught my father to cook so he could survive too. Cooking runs through his veins, in, out, in, out. Our history is her story through his ears, in, out, in, out. Our food is her survival.
Her master hand survived civil wars. Stewing masterpieces from scratch, she fed 8 children with the pulp she wrung from her heart.
Master recipes learned from Sister Queenie, not a sibling, but the mother of my mother, who in the southern stew of Alabama marched alongside Martin Luther. Southern fried, southern free. These recipes fed a king.
The king of the kitchen, my father, who meticulously collected my grandmother's recipes like butterflies, ephemeral, fleeting. He transposed them onto paper. She never gave the same recipe twice, but you knew each time it would taste like
tradition.
Like the corner of Rushmore and Maple.
Like Brooklyn in the 50s. He remembers Friday night meals like banquets, and before every meal, a toast. L'chaim, to life.
But before we could eat, she reminded us by whose hands this meal was made.
By whose hands all things come to be.
By whose hands this family was kept together.
By whose word all things come to be.
Mom and Dad feel they must remind me of God. I find myself at an interrogation table, grip the spoon as my mic, nervously sip water in between confessions. They ask me,
do you still say grace at school? Are they feeding you well at school?
This is hard to explain, to describe the abundance here, the bottomless bowls, soups, and sandwiches, but behind piles of food, stranger faces are spooning endless portions onto my plate. Yes, I'm eating, but I'm not being fed.
My mother says it is because he was fed too much, my father's diabetes. It crept into our lives, sending him love letters when I wasn't looking, a mistress, but with a voice like my grandmother's, telling him, Essen, Kinder, Essen, eat, child,
eat.
Don't starve, my child. Have some more, my child. You never know when there will not be enough food, my child. The Nazis could come at any moment, my child.
My childhood is laced with memories of my grandmother pricking her fingertips so the blood ran dry. They called it
diabetes.
Diabetes, it became more than a disease. It was the life my parents never wanted me to live. I remember the checkups.
The blood tests.
Tipping scales.
To ensure that this food I was consuming, this venom hadn't poisoned my blood too.
I never knew something so good could hurt so bad. Food is a weekly battle waged across tables.
Every 6 o'clock a confrontation.
Words aimed around mouthfuls.
This plate smashed against walls.
A mosaic of brown rice between white ceramic.
The kitchen transformed into a boxing ring. The oven timer rings to signify the start of every match because my mother and brothers were heavyweights, and my father just couldn't take that.
I just couldn't take that. I couldn't stand him eating the way he taught me never to. I told him to stop. I thought I controlled the in, out, in, out.
In this ring, my father counted the calories my brothers consumed. They were no match for his heavy-weighted blows.
You can't eat that if you want to run track.
Didn't you already have seconds?
The yelling only pauses while we chew. Evil words drowned out by tall glasses of milk, smothered out by forkfuls of mashed potatoes. Frustration was heard in a scraping of silverware, a slammed fridge door.
But if I could only tell him that every scream was an arrow aimed against each pill, each finger prick, telling him to put down the bread was not an act of control, but an act of care.
This was the battle they never won. My father's words were the uneasiness that shook their spines at the dining room table, the reason my brothers never felt comfortable eating in front of us.
Food was the comfort my father never wanted them to have.
After the match ends,
the lights dim.
The ring closes.
We clear the table.
We clear out the conflict, but the food still sits heavy in our stomachs, reminding us that dinner time is holy.
Watching my grandmother soak Gary with milk and sugar.
Dinner time is dangerous.
Tension sitting heavy like saccharin in our brothers' veins.
Dinner time is tradition.
Learning how to weave the challah dough in and out.
Dinner time is a confirmation.
the good and the bad, the sweet and the bitter. We may not like every dish, but we always find ourselves coming back for more.